Oh, we have arrived. Hello again. You're back. It's an earthly welcome. That's right. Here we are, Season 2 of the Reaction Shot podcast. You know, in my world, listeners, there were limitless movie podcasts as far as the eye could see. Beautiful, huh? Till it started to get oversaturated. So I escaped. I came here, and I met you. All of you. And all of you were different from the others. You were lost and looking for reactions, just like me. And I thought that maybe I could give you a taste of my world. I am so happy to be here in this new season with you, the listeners. So much has happened since Season 1, and I couldn't be happier. One of the biggest things to make note of is I am now officially a part of the You Run Podcast Network, a network jam-packed with some amazing creators with a wide range of podcast topics. So, hop on over to the You Run Podcast webpage, that's yourunpodcast.com, and check out all of the other amazing talents that are featured. But there is one in particular that I'd like to point out, and that's the Paranormal Misfits podcast. A show where the unexplained meets the unthinkable. This podcast that dares to explore the dark corners of reality is truly a great listen. It's a place where mystery unfolds, conspiracies are revealed, and the supernatural beckons. Join the hosts Chrissy and Nino as they delve into the realms of horror, paranormal phenomenons, cults, secret societies, and the darkest parts of history. Truth is stranger than fiction here. This show is a portal to the mysterious and darkness of both the known and the unknown. Horror is just another day at the office with these two. So please, check out the Paranormal Misfits podcast, part of the You Run Podcast Network. You can find them wherever you listen to your podcast, or at yourunpodcast.com. That's yourunpodcast.com. So, let's get into Season 2, Episode 3 of the Reaction Shot podcast, with a POV on The Faculty. And before we start, I leave you with one question from the film. If you were going to take over the world, would you blow up the White House Independence Day style, or sneak in through the back door? Hi everyone, I'm Dave and I love movies. So, welcome to my podcast, The Reaction Shot. In each episode, I'll dive deep into a movie of any genre that holds a special place in my heart. But here's the twist. I bring on a guest who has never seen that movie before, until now. We discuss, dissect, and review from pre to post-production to behind-the-scenes stories and well into its impact on pop culture. Will we agree on everything, or will we have wildly different views? Thanks for hitting play. Let's roll tape and find out. Fade in. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reaction Shot podcast. I'm your host Dave, and joining me today is my wonderful returning guest, Brittany Cunningham. Brittany, what's up?
What's up? I'm excited to be here. How are you?
Woo! I'm doing well. We're recording a lot later than we normally do. It's basically 10 p.m., so we might be maybe a little sleep deprived here and laughing at ourselves. So always a good time.
Here for it. I'm ready.
Hell yeah. So today we are doing the 1998 teen sci-fi horror film, The Faculty.
It's an interesting faculty, to say the least.
It sure is. It definitely keeps us guessing and trying to figure out what the hell is going on when we're watching it.
Yep.
What is your history with The Faculty?
Honestly, a lot and nothing at the same time, because whenever this came out, I was 10 years old. So I was aware of it, but it always freaked me out because I felt like it was about aliens, which Spoiler alert, it is. And it freaked me out, and I was like, oh, I can't watch this. Even though I was like, ooh, Usher's in it. I want to see it. And Josh Hartnett, obviously. But yeah, that's my only history with it.
And you never watched it before. That, I don't know, whenever I brought up the idea of The Faculty, I kind of just assumed that that would have been a movie that you already saw. So yeah. I was definitely shocked.
I honestly avoided it. It would be on, and I would be like, "Oh, can't watch that." Nope. I know. I do not know why, but it always felt too scary for me to actually see. And now I get it because of just like the people who are involved with it, Kevin Williamson, Scream, like craziness.
Craziness for sure. So my history with this movie, of course, is I went and saw it in the movie theaters. Surprise, surprise. I was 10 years old when it came out, and I don't know if I saw it like opening weekend or anything like that. So it came out on December 25th of 1998, a Christmas Day movie, which I feel like is really random.
It is.
Right? Like, usually I feel like that day's reserved.
Yeah, for like Christmassy things. I wonder what else came out, and they were like, maybe we can just throw this in there and people would actually go see it.
Yeah, well, they were like, meh. I mean, it worked for Scream, so I guess maybe that was like the route they were taking. So sure. I guess that was their idea behind it, but still kind of crazy. So with that being said, I don't know if I saw it exactly when I was 10 because I turned 11 in February. So my mom took me to the theaters to go see it, and we saw it together, and we both enjoyed it, yeah. It had that Scream feel to it, so at the age I was then, I was already obsessed with Scream and Scream 2. So, of course, I begged my mom. I'm like, we gotta go see this cool teen horror movie, you know? So, I'm sure she checked to see what it was rated R for, to see if it was okay for me to go see in the theater. And I do remember her shielding my eyes a little bit towards the end when there's some nudity in the film. So, she kind of shielded me from that a little bit. But outside of that, she and I had a really good time watching the film, and it's one of those movies that I just kept watching over and over again at that age and well through my teens. So definitely means a lot to me. It's one of those movies that just brings up all the nostalgia.
I love that. Sentimental,
a nice little teen alien film. Nothing says nostalgia like that, right?
Absolutely.
So really cool thing about The Faculty, well, I guess it's not necessarily cool per se, but the script was written in 1990 by David Wechter and Bruce Kimmel. They wrote a first draft of the script and sent it out. Essentially, they were trying to obviously get their script bought by a studio, and everyone just kept passing on it. No one was interested in what was being said. Creature films at that time weren't really booming at the box office or anything like that. So the script ended up going into the hands of Harvey Fuckface, Harvey and Bob Weinstein. So it ended up in their lap. They founded Miramax, which is where the script eventually got bought. The success of Scream sparked them to want to jump more into the teen genre, and maybe try dipping their toes in with an alien, like, creature feature. So they actually hired Kevin Williamson to basically rewrite the script. Basically took the guts of the story and then added the big teen element, all the cool dialogue, all the stuff that was really popular from Scream. So Kevin Williamson definitely juiced it up, and he essentially got full credit for the writing, and the other two guys just got credit for coming up with the story itself. Very interesting. I'd like to see what that script was like when it was first being shopped around and they got their hands on it and Kevin Williamson changed it. I mean, I love it the way that it is. I love Kevin Williamson's writing. I think it's very unique, and at the same exact time, I feel like you kind of know when you're watching a Kevin Williamson written film. That dialogue just really sticks out sometimes. And rewatching this, for the episode, I picked up on a lot of insanely witty dialogue that I've never really caught before, or maybe never really understood. I definitely appreciated that a lot, but I would like to see what the original idea of the script was. But yes, essentially, the screenplay was written by Kevin Williamson, and it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, which, that's pretty cool. I feel like he, with his filmography, I feel like for some odd reason, at least in the past, The Faculty wasn't one of his movies that really came up often. I feel like it was popular at the time and then kind of faded away, but over the past, I'd say 5 to 10 years, I feel like The Faculty really took on like a cult following, and people really added into some of their favorite like Robert Rodriguez films. So,
what other films did he do?
His really popular films would be Sin City, Machete Kills. He did the Spy Kid movies, Planet Terror, and Once Upon a Time in Mexico was probably one of his huge standout ones, of course. From Dusk Till Dawn, Desperado. So I kind of feel like he had a style, going with Desperado, From Dusk Till Dawn. I feel like he kind of had a very unique style, but The Faculty doesn't really fit into those other films, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense, and know that they don't fit in because, I mean, it's teens. Yeah. Honestly, compared to everything else, like Sin City, that was black and white, and just machine guns. That's all I remember.
Yes.
I've never seen it. I just remember Rose McGowan machine guns as her like.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I mean, I'll be honest with you. A lot of those movies I have watched, but don't really remember, and they don't really stick out to me.
That's fair.
Maybe not the biggest fan of his filmography, but hey, The Faculty, for me, definitely stands out. So, kudos to him for that. The movie had its premiere at a film festival in the United States in November 1998, and then obviously went to theaters on Christmas Day of 98. It had a budget of $15 million. For the opening weekend, it made 11.6, so it almost made its money back its opening weekend. And the worldwide gross at the end of its theatrical run ended at $40.3 million. So, yeah, they definitely made back...
Nice profit.
Yeah, nice little profit there. It was no Scream. It didn't take off the way Scream did. But it was still a moderate success for them. So, they were proud of it. I am shocked that there was never really like a direct sequel, especially because, Scream and I Know We Did Last Summer... sequel was kind of a big thing at that time. They were kind of cashed in and all that stuff. So that was very interesting to me. But that's okay. We'll leave The Faculty the way that it is. And we'll get more into that in a bit.
Yes.
So critically, the movie wasn't met with tons of love in the beginning. As of today, Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score is a 57%. And a user score is also a 57%. Metacritic has it at a 61 out of 100 with a user rating of 7.5 out of 10. Internet Movie Database has it as a 6.6 out of 10. And Letterboxd has it at a 3.3 out of 5. So, I kind of feel like critics and users are about in the same spot. They're kind of, right in the middle, maybe just a little over that 5 out of 10 mark. So, with that being said, Brittany, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, okay. So, I didn't rate it the second or third time I watched it, but the first time I got a 3.5.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was pretty...
That's a Lauren Drake number. What are you doing? What are you guys doing over there? You guys are plotting against me. I see how it is. So
I know. I was like, oh wow, I'm feeling Lauren's energy.
Did you hear that, Lauren?
Right? Because sometimes she'll rate something, and I'm like, wait a minute, am I being too generous?
Right? For real.
No, but I'm okay. I will say this, that the 3.5, I don't hate it. So, the 3.5 sounds like, I couldn't stand it. I wanted to turn it off. It wasn't like that. It was just kind of a longer episode of a TV show that didn't really mesh well because I need a sequel. Because I want to know, or at least a prequel, where did that girl come from? Mary Beth Louise Hutchinson. How she says her name was one of my favorite lines in the world, and it cracked me up.
Mary Beth Louise Hutchinson, Atlanta.
from Atlanta. I'm new here. And they're like, yep, we realize that. Thank you so much.
We get it, girl.
We can tell by your accent immediately. We're in Ohio.
Right. Yeah, they don't talk like that in Ohio, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, definitely not. But, yeah. So whenever we go through it, you're going to hear me, like, give a lot of praise. Like, it's not a bad film. It could have been better.
Could have been better. That's cool.
And also, Kevin Williamson, the mind-boggling, because I posted this on Instagram, my mind-boggling realization was he did Dawson's Creek.
He did. You didn't know that?
Well, so I did know that, but I didn't put two and two together because I didn't realize that the Kevin Williamson from Scream was the same Kevin Williamson in Dawson's Creek, and I'm like, oh, I get it. So the dialogue and like the cadence of how they talk to each other is very much Dawson's Creek, and it's in there, and I love it. So I love it for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm glad you came to that realization because I definitely credit Kevin Williamson for being a really great writer. Obviously, getting back into the nostalgia things, a lot of the work that I'm super familiar with from him obviously came from the 90s and 2000s, and you know, it all started with Scream, and then we had I Know What You Did Last Summer, we had Scream 2, we obviously had The Faculty, and obviously Dawson's Creek. He just, like you said, he just has a way of writing. He has a way of writing teens that sometimes, is borderline satire, but at the same time very true. And I think he's really good at taking strengths of emotion in different types of ways. Like, he can really put it into words. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but I don't know. I've always loved the way that he writes, and I feel like I always know I feel like Kevin Williamson wrote this, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
Well, so 3.5, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I awkwardly give this film an 8 out of 10, so I'm on the opposite end here. Of course,
no,
for the
okay.
most...
We love that.
We love that. We love it. Do I think it's a perfect movie? Obviously not. It definitely has some flaws. I literally have watched this 5 times in the past 2 weeks, so I think I brought my total to probably 100 million times that I've watched this movie. But it's been nice to kind of rewatch it more, from doing a podcast point of view, just to kind of pay a little bit more attention to certain things. But yeah, I mean, I think I still got to stick with a 8 out of 10. So I'm on the opposite side of the scale, but that's okay. That's what I love. That's what makes these conversations a lot of fun.
You'll find me agreeing with a lot of things, and probably we might like a lot of the same scenes. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of, I don't even want to say plot holes, but there's just too many things that I have questions about that aren't answered. So I'm kind of just now what? This came out how many years ago? I'm never going to know.
Dear Kevin Williamson, where are the answers? Get on it.
Write another one.
Right, damn, boy.
And the kids can be, the kids are clearly adults. They're in their 40s.
They can be the faculty.
Mid-40s. Yeah, they can be the faculty. Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Oh, I love how we just write scripts in these episodes.
I need some people to listen to these podcasts and be like, oh,
yeah,
they're onto
something. Great idea. Yeah,
we'll get some story credits. I'll take it.
We have ideas.
Do everyone listen up?
I just want to see it.
Same. Me too. 100%. So with season 2, I started doing this thing where I'd like to share crazy ass reviews we find online, whether they're positive reviews or negative reviews. Sometimes the words and things that people write about to me just make me chuckle. So I would like for you to share 1 or 2 reviews that you may have found online that kind of brought a chuckle to you, thought were a little ridiculous, anything like that. Do you have anything fun to share?
I do. I found a couple. One, this guy was a little, it wasn't that bad. Jeff Weiss said, "Be ashamed, Kevin Williamson. Be very ashamed."
Oh.
It wasn't that serious, guy. Yeah.
Wow.
Upset. I didn't see a rating, but the word said enough.
Yeah, maybe I hope he doesn't find this podcast because we just praise the hell out of Kevin Williamson, and this guy comes along and ruins everything. Brings on the mood. Damn.
Yeah, like my 3.5 is not that energy.
No.
At all. So we have another one, which is a 6 out of 10. A zesty, charming sci-fi horror thriller with better performances and far better production values than you'd expect. That's a little backhanded, but...
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you could have maybe did without the last part.
Yeah, leave that out.
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, who are we to judge? This one actually... This one made me laugh. This was in the National Post, Toronto, Canada, from Scott Fessick, I think you say it. Frankly, it's hard to buy into the horror of a potential alien apocalypse when you're half expecting Shaggy and the gang to pull up in the mystery machine and reveal the true identity of the outer space baddie.
The outer space baddie.
The outer space baddie. I said, I have to pick that one just for that. Here for it. That's crack me up.
Oh my god! Yeah, so it's no longer a queen alien. It's literally the outer space baddie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna make note of that on here. Okay.
Yeah, that we have to refer outer space baddie.
Perfect. All right, guys. It wasn't our words. It was that guy.
It was Scott. It was Scott from Canada.
Thanks, Scott from Canada, for coming up with some great new names here for a queen alien.
Hell yeah. Outer space baddie. But yeah, those are my reviews.
Perfect. Love them. Good ones.
Yeah.
I have 2 for us. I had to pick the 1-star ones because I feel like when I read reviews, I'm always like, what do the 1-star people have to say? What are they being miserable about? So this one is from Visaggio 2. The review title is Disturbing.
Oh my god.
And they gave it a 1 out of 10, of course.
Uh-huh.
And this is what they had to say. I was disturbed by how teenage drug use was glorified in this movie. Teenagers using drugs to kill aliens and snorting chemicals, a mix of caffeine pills and household products to prove that they aren't converted yet? I am waiting for the news to tell us of kids dying from snorting diet pills and Ajax from pen tubes. You don't think teenagers are that dumb, do you? Remember the movie The Program? They are dumb. Something is wrong when a movie is made that censors bare breasts with shadows to protect our virgin eyes, yet promotes chemical drug use to teenagers. The fuck?
Oh my god. Like, eat an edible, sir. What happened? Like, what happened?
Wow.
First off, what? There's so many things happened. But, I mean, teens are actually that dumb because, like, weren't they eating like Tide Pods or whatever?
They sure were.
Or something stupid. So sure, I get that. But like, nobody's snorting drugs from pens. Like, let's be serious.
No.
Nobody has a lab in their basement somehow in their home without their parents realizing that they have a drug lab downstairs. Like, nobody's doing that.
Right. Like, sir, I saw this movie when I was 10 or 11. And not one moment when I was watching this film did I think,
I'm going to do that.
Gee, yeah, I'm going to go home and grab a pen, and I'm going to put some drugs in it, and I'm going to take it to school, and we're going to snort it, and I'm going to sell it for a lot of money.
Like, what? No child thinks that.
no.
It's the adults who think that, hence why they write it in a kid's thing.
Right.
Like, it's not even a kid's thing. It's about children.
Literally. In the shadows and the shadows of bare breast things, sir. What? Just shut up.
Shut
oh, man. Visaggio, too. You're disturbing, Visaggio. Okay.
Listen, you know when it's going to be a bad review when it says disturbing, period. And you're just like, you didn't even watch it. Just end it there.
Yeah. That's what caught my eye. I was like, oh, why is this disturbing? So
yeah.
Okay, so I have one more to share with you guys. Mm-hmm. This one is from Evil Al.
Oh, no.
Again, it's a 1 out of 10, like I mentioned. And the title of the review is, I'm not a bitter person, ... per se. dot, dot, dot. That's the title. I saw The Faculty a while ago, and let me tell you, I felt sick after walking out of the movie theater. I don't get sick often, but this movie did it for me. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good bad movie, but this flick was EVIL. What does it spell? Evil. Pure and unadulterated evil. Ag. Kill me. Anyway, the concept was a bad rehash of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, as I'm sure everybody else already pointed out. The acting was alright, in that bad kind of way. The special effects were good. The storyline made me cry, and cry like a little girl for hours and hours. This is basically a trendy, new, teeny bopper horror flick, which insisted of featuring a knife-wielding psycho in a mask. Wait, that wasn't what this was. It wasn't Scream. It features a giant alien that dehydrates easily. I guess it's sweaty. It's like watching Dawson's Creek with an alien. Man, I hate UPN. We'll come back to that. In summarization, this is just a bad piece of trash that has a teen angle and a sci-fi angle. It accomplishes the former in that kind of bastardized way that makes you angry and doesn't accomplish the latter at all. Plot holes. Oh God, the plot holes. As a teen, it offends me that the movie studios are trying to pass this junk off as hip and scary. I guess I'm not that hip. The Faculty should have stayed in the lounge. Stupid pun, I know.
Oh my God. It's the way that some people just do things, just to go out of their way and be like, you know what, I'm going to write something unhinged. And then that's what they write.
So like, unhinged.
All right.
I read that.
Okay, there's some things. The Dawson's Creek with the mixing with aliens, fine.
Sure.
But it's really, again, it wasn't that bad.
No, and this, the one part that really sticks out to me isn't even related to The Faculty, but when they said it's like watching Dawson's Creek with an alien, I hate UPN. Like, Dawson's Creek wasn't on UPN.
Yeah, it stopped on WB. It ended before the merge, so...
Yeah, God. Anyway.
Get your story right.
Man, I can't
The only show that came from WB was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who went to UPN. Yep. And we all know that's true.
Did you hear that, Evil Al?
Uh-huh. God. Get it right, sir.
What a jerk. Okay, well, that was fun. I'm glad that...
we got that out of the way.
I'm really hoping your review's not as aggressive as that.
It's really not. like now I'm questioning, like, why did I give it a 3.5? I don't know.
You're almost in Evil Al territory. What are you doing?
I know. Like, how did I get here? We'll see. We'll see what happens as we talk about it.
Perfect. Okay, so one more thing before we get into the cast and the breakdown of the film really quick. Yes. I wanted to kind of play a new game with you really fast. This game I'm going to call The Faculty This or That. Okay. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and you have to choose which one you prefer. Okay? So, first one. This or that. The Faculty or I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Okay. And why?
Honestly, I think it's scarier. Like, not to say... Yeah, no. I Know What You Did Last Summer was scarier. I like horror when it's scary and not... Like, these are loud jump scares that happen in The Faculty. I'd rather have, like, a guy with an ice hook walking down the street real slow, and I'm like, who's gonna get away? Type deal.
Okay. Perfect.
Yes.
All right. Next one. Josh Hartnett in H2O or Josh Hartnett in The Faculty. You can go by his looks, his acting, his character.
You know what's so funny? For some ungodly reason, I erased the fact that I knew that he is in Halloween H2O. Because even though I've seen it in the last year, my brain's like, we don't need to remember.
Blocking out Michael.
Right? So I'll say The Faculty on that one.
Okay. Michael Myers has a real big chokehold on her, guys, just letting you know.
Yeah, and it's still there. Like, I thought it was okay. I'm clearly not.
Guys, every time Brittany sees something online about Michael Myers, like being somewhere, like if she sees a sticker on a car or something like that, she will send it to me and be like, he's literally after me.
Everywhere. No, I saw it 2 weeks ago. This guy was in the parking lot he turned around, it was on his jacket. Like, come on. It's January. Take that shit off.
I guess he's welcoming Mikey home.
Yeah, too many. That's his roomie. Kick him out.
Okay, last one.
Yes.
A Faculty remake or a Faculty Legacy sequel?
But see, how would they remake this? I don't know. You know what? Yes. I want a remake because I feel like a Legacy sequel will kind of have the same energy, and I want something bigger and better. Okay. So give me a remake and just do it bigger. It's 2025. I know we have more creativity.
Okay.
To use.
Perfect. Yeah, so with that being said, I'm sure you saw recently in the news, it was announced that there's going to be a Faculty reboot. What comes with that is no one really knows if it is a remake or if it is a legacy sequel, so I feel like everyone's kind of up in arms trying to decide what the hell they want. Robert Rodriguez is coming back to produce it, so he won't be directing. As far as I understand, Kevin Williamson is not writing this, so I feel it's going to have a little bit of fresh blood in it, and a little alien blood, and might breathe some new life into it. So I agree. I'm excited to see where they go with this. And yeah, that was my way to plug in that little news thing there. So cool. Fun fact I want to throw off of that is Halloween H2O is considered Josh Hartnett's first film, but he actually filmed The Faculty first. Halloween H2O just came out first. So.
Wow. I don't think I even realized that was his first film that I saw him in and that he actually did. Okay.
Yep.
Well, besides The Faculty. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you watch H2O in the opening credits, it says introducing Josh Hartnett. And yeah, he actually filmed The Faculty first. He was signed on for both. And both directors of both films absolutely hated his haircut. And the H2O director actually wanted him fired because he hated the way he looked and he wouldn't listen to people offering to fix his hair.
I mean, that's fair. His hair looked...
Yeah, well, yeah, let's, before we get into the movie, guys, let's talk about Josh Hartnett's hair. Both in H2O and The Faculty, basically the same. So he cut his hair himself. I want to put that out there. He wouldn't let anyone cut his hair, so he cut it himself. And then it's almost like he would put something in his hair, like gel or something like that, and he would spike his hair from the neckline up in the back, and by doing that it kind of made like wings on the side of his head by his ears. So his hair is coming to like a point in the back. I'm literally on camera right now, like showing Brittany what I'm doing, and I look very strange.
A little back hawk.
A
back hawk, but a back hawk.
A back hawk with wings.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
When I get my hair cut next, I'm going to go and be like, I want a back hawk with wings, and just see what happens.
Be like, what is that? Like, whatever you think it is.
Oh, Josh, what were you thinking, man?
Yeah, and also, like, on set, like, wouldn't you just be like, can we fix your hair real quick?
Right. Yeah,
like, it looks weird. Because it's okay. So you know how Cynthia in the Rugrats, her hair does a little skeet. So that's what it is, but just like on the left and the right, perfect.
Yep.
And it's perpendicular. At least it's straight. It's mirrored, but like could have fixed it.
I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I was 10, 11 years old, when I saw this, I thought his hair looked kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah,
I did. I don't know what that says about me, but Josh Hartnett is still thriving, so...
I mean, yes. And I mean, look at his face.
Look at his face.
Yes. His hair, he could have a shaved head, long hair, which he kind of has now. He looks great in any way, so...
I will say, like, rewatching this movie now, he had some, like, really good bad boy swag in this movie. Does that make sense? Do you get that?
Yes.
Like he owned exactly what Zeke was, I'm assuming, written on page. He took it and ran with it. Like he was like this brooding badass, but you could kind of tell he had a heart. You could tell he was intelligent. I don't know. I mean, between his writing and Kevin Williamson's writing and Josh Hartnett's performance, brilliant. I mean, I'm not saying we're handing out Oscars or anything, but I mean, he definitely had that bad boy swag down really, really well in this film. So kudos to Josh for that. Good job, Josh.
Yes, kudos to him. We love it.
Cool. One last fun thing. I also introduced 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Every episode I want to play a little game and see how quick we can get to Kevin Bacon. I pick the actor, and then through films only, we try to connect them to Kevin Bacon. So for this, I picked to start with BB Newworth, who plays Principal Drake. And I think I have the best 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon for this. Or do you think you have the? Or do you think you have the best 6 Degrees?
I don't know. Like, so I have 2 different ones, but I don't know if I can use the second one. So I'll use my original one first.
Okay, do whatever one you feel most confident with, and I'll do mine, and you can circle back to your second one, and we'll see if ours match or who got there faster. But since you're my guest, you can go first.
Okay. So we have BB Newworth. Is that how you say her last name?
Yep.
So she is in the faculty, and her connection next would be with Kirsten Dunst. They're in Jumanji together. And the next connection will be Kirsten Dunst with Brad Pitt, and they're in The Interview with a Vampire. And then Brad Pitt with Kevin Bacon in 8. The movie 8.
Oh, look at you.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah? You got it better. I can tell by your face.
No. I mean, you had Jumanji. Like, I didn't even know that BB Newworth was in Jumanji. So
yeah, she's Aunt Claire, I think. She's their Aunt Claire. Her Michael and I can't even think of her name. Julie, something like that. Yeah. I love Jumanji, but I feel like, unfortunately, I haven't watched that movie in a very long time for me to even remember names. Still
I know.
good. Still fantastic.
I'll have to revisit. Well, that's cool. I mean, you definitely made a great connection there. Mine's obviously a little bit different, but that's good. It's fun. It's fun. All right, so I have BB Newworth stars in The Faculty as Principal Drake. Mm-hmm. BB Newworth starred in Summer of Sam with Jennifer Esposito. Jennifer Esposito starred with Sandra Bullock in Crash, and Sandra Bullock starred in Loverboy with Kevin Bacon.
Oh, okay. So I feel like we're tied.
We're tied?
Great. It was 4. Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice.
You have the cooler, more mainstream movies, though, but that's okay.
No. Well, I like to pick movies that I've seen. I have seen 8, but I couldn't tell you what it was about. But Jumanji and Interview with Vampire are were my go-tos growing up. Yeah.
I love the movie Summer of Sam. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Really good movie. It's been a very long time, so I don't know how well it holds up now.
Yeah.
But I love Jennifer Esposito in that movie, and the movie Crash, I could probably do a whole podcast on. I could have a very big conversation, probably be controversial in all sorts of ways. So maybe I'll go visit that someday.
Yeah.
And Loverboy, I feel like I saw it came out, I think early, 2010s maybe.
Okay.
I feel like I saw it, but I honestly, I don't remember it. But hey, Sandra Bullock and Kevin Bacon in it. We all went all the way back to BB Newworth, so we did the job. So yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, Brittany.
Okay, wait. I do want to say the second one because I wonder if I can use this. So BB Newworth and Summer Phoenix are in this movie, The Faculty, together. Mm-hmm. Summer Phoenix is in a movie called Committed with Luke Wilson, and then Luke Wilson is in a movie, My Dog Skip, with Kevin Bacon. So that's 3. But I don't know if I can use that because it's not...
Because you grabbed onto another actor?
In the same movie, yeah.
But that's good, though. I mean, it's fun that we can connect all these people to Kevin Bacon. It's kind of crazy. But I want to pause. I want to pause for a second and do a little detour. The face you made with My Dog Skip, what did that mean?
I've never seen it.
Oh, dear. Brittany.
I don't even know what it's about. I saw it and I was like, what is that?
Brittany, it's about the connection that you have with an adopted dog from a boy's perspective, and him and his dog Skip go on these little journeys together, and Kevin Bacon plays the dad, and it's a super fucking sad movie, and you'll cry.
I'm sure it is.
But you need to watch it. It's so good.
See, no, because it was giving, whenever I read it, it was Marley and Me, it was giving that energy just reading the title, and I said, I will actually probably never watch that.
No, it is similar. It has a similar tone. I mean, the emotion kind of comes from the same type of aspect and stuff, but it's basically follows the the relationship between a boy and his dog, and it's just super cute. They kind of like teach each other how to grow up,
just
and
like
be
live
strong.
and grow. Yeah, it's sweet until the end, and we all know what the end is, and it's upsetting.
Yes, we'll just turn it off before you get to the end. It's still a good movie.
But then I'll wonder.
Yeah, then you'll
I'll be
wonder.
like,
Yeah, you
what happened?
I'll send you. I'll buy you a box of Kleenexes. You'll have it next to you. You give it a watch. You cry. There you
I'll
go.
be a sobby mess.
A sobby mess.
A sobby mess.
I love
Oh,
it.
and I do have another connection, and a direct connection.
Oh.
But it's a movie to TV show.
Okay.
So Kevin Williamson is directly connected to Kevin Bacon because of The Following, which is a show that he created. Great show. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Fantastic show. I was actually at New York Comic Con and watched the whole entire cast, including Kevin Williamson and Kevin Bacon, premiere it for the first time in front of the audience before it even aired on TV.
I'm
shook. Being in the same room as all of those legends was fucking amazing. Nico Tortorella, I think is how you say his name. He was one of the gay guys, well, fake gay guys. I ended up getting my picture taken with him afterwards, and that was pretty cool. I mean, of course, I wanted to meet like Kevin Bacon and stuff, but that was kind of not accessible. But it's pretty cool to be.
I love that. Mm-hmm. And I forgot. I was like, oh my god, I really love that show. So I started rewatching it.
Oh yeah, no, that's a great connection. I actually thought of that too when we were doing the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I'm like, damn. I mean, that's definitely definitely a direct line. But that's a good. I'm glad you're familiar with the show. Listeners, if you're not familiar with the show, definitely check it out. One last thing about that. Yeah, one last thing about that. The storyline of The Following was actually a part of the storyline that Kevin Williamson wanted for Scream sequels.
But Time Out kind of this not the same, but they talk about somebody that was similar to, oh my god, what was it? The Raven. What was I watching? Somebody said something in the faculty about maybe Edgar Allan Poe or something. And then I was watching The Following, and that whole Joe is based around like that.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, does this man like philosophers, and he's just like poetry? So he writes movies about it, around it?
I think he does.
Which, I'm here for that.
Intelligent man.
Yeah. And then that makes more sense because Dawson's Creek is very like poetic and how they speak and the cadence of the banter and genius.
Dawson's Creek.
I really need to rewatch that again.
I know. I'm
for the 17th time.
I'm jonesing to watch some Dawson's Creek and Buffy with the light of all the news lately.
Yes.
So, for sure.
It's gonna be so good. 90s are coming back.
They're back, baby.
They're back, baby.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, hey, that was fun. I actually really enjoyed playing this 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I think it's a good time. So let's get back into jumping into this film. Let me read off the cast to you really fast. It's kind of a big cast. I didn't want to leave a lot of people out because I feel like this was literally the who's who of the 90s. And I feel like they all kind of need a little shout out. So bear with me as I kind of go through this list really fast. We have Elijah Wood as Casey, Josh Hartnett as Zeke, Jordana Brewster in her first ever film role as Delilah, Clea Duvall as Stokely, Laura Harris as Mary Beth Louise Hutchinson from Atlanta, Sean Hoddesy as Stan, Robert Patrick as Coach Willis, Famke Jensen as Miss Burke, B.B. Newworth as Principal Drake, Piper Laurie as Mrs. Olsen, Daniel Von Bargen as Mr. Tate, Jon Stewart as Professor Furlong, Salma Hayek as Nurse Harper, Susan Willis as Mrs. Brummel, Christopher McDonald as Casey's dad, Libby Valeri as Casey's mom, and also in their first feature film debut, we have Usher Raymond as Gabe. Mm-hmm. And that is
Big
the cast. Okay, now it comes to everyone's favorite part where I sit here and read to you a summary of the film. I try to not go through every single detail as I always like to mention because sometimes I get carried away and I'm like, well, I have to point out the one time when they were breathing. I do try to avoid that, so there are things that happen that I might not talk about when I do the little recap. This will give you a basic rundown of what the film is. Might take me a couple minutes to get through, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy the breakdown of The Faculty. I always have to get my speech voice ready for this.
Hell yeah.
All right. I'm going to awkwardly put my phone in front of the camera, Brittany. I'm so sorry. The film opens at a Harrington High School football practice located somewhere in Ohio. We are immediately introduced to Coach Willis. He is losing his mind over a play that the guys just can't seem to get right and aggressively causes an end to practice. As the team leaves, he is approached from behind by someone or something that the audience can't see. He turns to say, "Yeah? What?" Cut to evening time at the same high school. Several teachers, the head football coach, and the principal are wrapping up a meeting about the school's budget. Principal Valerie Drake breaks it to all the teachers that the school's budget and funding will strictly go to the school's football program only. It's what brings the town together on Friday nights, she says. At the end of the meeting, everyone leaves, and in this moment, Principal Drake realizes she has forgotten her keys and returns to retrieve them. In her office, she's confronted by Coach Willis, who suddenly exhibits erratic behavior. He invades her space and doesn't allow her to leave the room. She tells her she looks very pretty tonight, and then impulsively drives a pencil through her hand, causing her to cry out in pain. In a desperate attempt to defend herself, Drake slashes Coach Willis with her keys. She manages to flee to the main school doors, but they are chained shut. Drama teacher, Mrs. Olson, stands outside the door and panics because she cannot help Principal Drake without the keys. Principal Drake desperately tries to escape, but Willis pursues her. In a brief struggle, Drake smashes a jar over Willis's head and retrieves his key set. Armed with scissors, she runs back to the chained doors, but her inability to find the correct key allows Willis to get dangerously close. However, she finally manages to unlock the chained door and make it to the outside. She turns in relief to Ms. Olson, who is now emotionless and staring at her. We see that she has picked up the scissors that Principal Drake has dropped and begins to repeatedly stab Principal Drake with those scissors. Mrs. Olson, seemingly in a catatonic state, says, "I always wanted to do that." We fade to our title card, The Faculty. The following morning, we meet the film's protagonist students. Casey, a dedicated but often harassed and bullied photographer for the school newspaper, works as the unappreciated assistant to the spiteful Delilah, the paper's editor-in-chief and head cheerleader. Delilah's misunderstood boyfriend Stan contemplates quitting the school's football team to pursue more academic ambitions, much to Delilah's disapproval. Zeke, an intelligent yet lazy and rebellious student repeating his senior year, sells various illegal items, including a powder-like drug he makes on his own and stores in place of ink inside of pens. More often than not, he is confronted by Ms. Burke, who expresses concern over his illegal activities. Naive transfer student Mary Beth Louise Hutchinson from Atlanta attempts to befriend stereotype goth-lite outcast Stokely. Stokely has intentionally spread rumors that she is a lesbian to scare people away, even though she has a secret crush on Stan. She is an avid fan of science fiction novels as well. While eating lunch alone on the football field, Casey notices a strange amphibian-like creature on the sidelines. He quickly picks it up and takes it to the science teacher, Professor Furlong. The specimen is examined and believed to be a new species of a specific parasite called a mesozoan. As other classmates stand in awe over his new discovery, high school banter and play causes a glass of water to fall over and spill directly on the specimen, causing it to start moving around. Professor Furlong drops it into a water-filled fish tank in the class and sees it really coming to life, including replicating itself once it's touched by the professor. With his hand in the water, the specimen quickly grows teeth and bites his finger. This has caused some mild panic and confusion. Stan lets Coach Willis know that he will no longer be playing football and soon after heads to the shower. While showering, he's approached by Mrs. Brummel, an elderly teacher whose skin appears to be melting off of her body. She is gasping for air and trying to get help from Stan. Casey witnesses and goes to get help. She embraces Stan and he gently pats her head, only to discover a chunk of skin from her scalp is pulling off of her head and falls to the floor of the shower, exposing flesh and bone of her skull. Later, we meet up with Delilah, who takes Casey into the teacher's lounge to find a story for the new school newspaper front page. They hide in a closet and witness the coach and drama teacher assaulting the school nurse. The coach's face begins to change sinisterly, veins almost exploding and eyes turning white. A parasite, much like the one Casey found on the field, is forced from his mouth into the nurse's ear. As Delilah and Casey are freaked out by what they are witnessing, they also discover the body of Mrs. Brummel, stuffed in the closet, dead. Casey and Delilah flee, and Casey calls the police, but Principal Drake claims that nothing is wrong, accusing Casey of seeking attention. The nurse emerges, seemingly fine, with the coach and Mrs. Olson behind her. Principal Drake and history teacher Mr. Tate doubts what they are hearing. The next day, Casey convinces his friends that the teachers are being controlled by aliens. They go to show them the creature they found, but it has disappeared. Confronting Professor Furlong, they find him defensive and attempting to infect them as well. Zeke rushes for the classroom's paper guillotine and rips the blade off in an attempt to protect himself. He swings at Professor Furlong and cuts off his fingers and stabs his homemade drug-filled pen right into Furlong's eye, causing his body to go into convulsions and seemingly dry out and die. Concerned about Casey's theory that everyone at the school could potentially be infected by aliens, Zeke takes his friends to his house, where he examines and experiments with Casey's specimen. He discovers that it needs water to survive and can be killed by his drug, which acts as a diuretic. Zeke makes everyone take his drug to prove that they are human and unaffected. One by one, each person in the group snorts the drug from a pen. It is now that Delilah is revealed to be infected and destroys Zeke's lab, including most of his drug supply, before finally escaping. Acting on Stokely's speculation that killing the queen alien will revert everyone to normal, the group returns to the school where the football team is playing a game and infecting the opposing players and audience as they watch. They finally isolate Principal Drake in the gym, believing her to be the queen, and they fatally shoot her. Stan goes outside to see if it has worked, but gets infected by the coach instead. Zeke and Casey go to Zeke's car to retrieve some more drugs. Casey leads infected students away from Zeke, who encounters Ms. Burke in the parking lot and seemingly kills her while making his escape. Casey returns to the gym, where Mary Beth has just revealed to be the queen alien, having faked taking the test earlier. She attacks Stokely, who is stunned by the revelation. Casey and Stokely flee to the swimming pool, where Stokely is injured and then infected. Zeke and Casey go to the locker room, where Mary Beth reverts to her human disguise, completely naked. She explains that she is taking over Earth because her own planet is dying. Mary Beth transforms back into the large queen alien and renders Zeke unconscious by throwing him into a locker. Casey takes the drug and tricks the queen into following him into the retracting bleachers, which then traps her. He stabs the drug into the queen's eye, killing her almost instantly, drying her out. The queen infects Casey with her dying breath, but Casey and Stokely return to normal upon the queen's death, and Zeke revives. We fast forward to 1 month later. Life has returned to normal. Stan and Stokely have now begun dating. Zeke takes Stan's place on the football team. Miss Burke affectionately watches him practice in the stands. Casey begins dating Delilah and becomes a local hero, and Professor Furlong adjusts to life with reduced eyesight and fewer fingers. And that is the faculty.
There's just so much chaos that happens in a day and a half. Let me tell you, whenever they said, it's been a day and a half, I said, a day and a half? All this stuff is happening in a day and a half? How?
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute. How is that possible? Yeah, I guess a lot really does happen in a day and a half.
I guess. At least in this town.
Yeah, so that is the faculty. That is the breakdown of the film. What did you think of the opening scene, Brittany, when you first started watching this movie? You had never seen it before, so once that film, started with the really awesome soundtrack from The Offspring playing over the Dimension logo, how did you feel? What were you thinking?
I was digging the song. I was like, is this The Offspring? So then I was right. So I was ear to ear smiling, because I love music trivia.
Absolutely.
As not everybody knows what I do.
There you go, everyone.
Yes. It was giving like a Buffy vibe. It reminded me of an episode, like that first sequence whenever they're, well, not the first sequence. The coach, absolutely unhinged, crazy. Like, why are you screaming at those kids like that? You need to chill.
Seriously,
it's literally high school football. My God. The principal saying that the school only has a budget for sports, that tracks because schools do that. And it's weird. I don't understand. And just the whole sequence of him chasing her down, blowing the whistle, like I needed
crazy,
to
right?
stop. Like he was stressing me out. And I know that man is in what, the Terminator? I think he's in that movie.
The Terminator. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've never seen that movie, but like seeing his face, I was like, oh yeah, he's that scary guy.
He has such an evil face. Like you see his face, you're like, that dude's evil. He could be in a rom-com and you'd be like, no, that dude's up to something.
Yeah, he's like, he is being conniving in the corner. But it was funny because whenever he was infected, he was like a little more calm in some senses. Like whenever he's talking to Stan and how he wanted to quit, and he's like, oh no, it's chill. It's fine. And he's like, are you good? Because like you were literally just screaming at him 10 hours ago.
Seriously,
so like,
though.
I wouldn't know what to do either.
Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, so did you, so I know you told me you suspected the film was about aliens, but did you know for sure, like when the film started, were you like, this is definitely going to be aliens?
Yeah, yes and no. Like I knew it wasn't going to be like a different type of supernatural thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I'm used to that. Like obviously it can't be vampires. They're out in daylight. But everybody just seemed off. So it was giving like body snatcher vibes.
Yeah.
Especially Mary Beth Louise.
Mary Beth Louise Hutchinson.
Yeah, the second she walked on screen, I said, she seems weird.
So did you suspect that she was the queen alien when they started talking about all the alien stuff? Did you kind of pinpoint her as someone?
Yes.
Okay.
From the very beginning, I was like, she seems too into everybody's like business. I get it, she's new, but like she was just like, oh, what you reading? What you doing? Oh, why don't you like this person? Oh, what do you? And then the fact that she kept pushing Stokely into Stan, like, girl, you just got here. Mm-hmm. Like you're doing so much.
Yeah, one interesting thing that Kevin Williamson wrote to try to tell the audience that she definitely is the leader of this. When the students are discussing things about the aliens, they keep mentioning a master, but the first person to refer to it as a queen and then continuously refer to it as a her is Mary Beth Louise Hutchinson from Atlanta, basically foreshadowing that she is the queen. So she's using more of the appropriate dialogue, I guess, when it comes to that. That was Kevin Williamson's way of kind of being like, it's her, guys. And I think it's cool because it's like so obvious that it was going to possibly be her because she's from out of town, her parents died, and you're just like, okay, well, that's weird. But I don't think it's a letdown when it's revealed. I think the way they do it, in my opinion, is pretty cool. So
same. I feel like they did it in the right way, because if you also watch her whenever they are talking about it or something's happening, like whenever the alien multiplies in the tank and like the rat scene, like you can tell that she's upset that it's happening in front of her. So it's like, oh, why are you so sad that, like, not even sad, just like, oh no, that's gonna happen to me. Like you could just tell by her face. So I wonder if the actress chose like, oh, in certain scenes I'm gonna react in a way, like if somebody's paying attention to me, they're gonna say like, oh, I wonder if it's her, type deal, because nobody else was reacting that way.
Right. No, that's true. That's very true. So back to Coach Willis, who is played by Robert Patrick. I know we talked about how he has a creepy face. You mentioned him being in Terminator. So I do have this fun fact. I got it from Internet Movie Database. So I'm going to read it to you verbatim from here, just to kind of paint a picture. I've seen Terminator, but it's not necessarily one of my favorite movies. Sorry, everyone listening. Not really a movie I revisit or get excited about talking about, but I understand it has a great following. I respect it for what it is. So don't come at me, everyone. Thank you so much. At the start of the movie, Coach Willis, played by Robert Patrick, is seen standing at the end of a long hall, then begins running down the hall in pursuit of Principal Drake, played by B.B. Newirth. The way he runs, and the way the scene is shot, by cutting back and forth between Willis running and Drake trying to open the door, mirrors a similar scene in Terminator 2 Judgment Day from 1991, when the T-1000, also played by Patrick, is chasing the Connors and the T-800 down a long hall while they wait for an elevator to open up. I think that's pretty cool.
And honestly, that is the scene that I pictured, because I was like, why does this seem familiar? And that is the exact, and I know what scene you're talking about. Because I haven't seen it, but the parts that I've seen were scary, and I was like, I can't watch this, and it was it was that way.
Well, there you go. Now you got to see it in a different light.
In a different angle, yes. Wow.
So let me ask you this, Brittany. One of the things I see people complain a lot about this movie is that it is told that it's said that it copies a lot of things that happen in other movies. Now, do you think it's copying, or do you think it's honoring when we see things like I just described? Like, how do you view that?
I wouldn't say that's copying at all, because I feel like it would be copying if it wasn't him that was doing it. Like, he clearly made that piece from that film his own, so they were like, hey, do you want to do that again? So no, he's showing like, hey, there might be a little piece of that character in this character, and like that's what actors do. So I feel like it's always paying. Like, now granted, people can copy certain things, and that does happen, but I don't think with this, I didn't see any copycat per se of different films in this movie, but I did read that people think that.
Yeah, they definitely do. So another really prominent scene in this film that mirrors a scene from another popular Alien film is the drug testing scene whenever they're snorting the drugs from the pen to try to figure out if someone's infected. That is from an homage to a scene from 1982's The Thing, where they're actually doing a blood test to see if one of them is infected by the alien. So it's basically like, okay, you do a test, now let's see, you do a test, now let's see. So, and it kind of plays out the same type of way. But that is another scene that people are like, this movie is just a complete ripoff of The Thing. But in my opinion, I feel like it's okay to honor things that were a success, and where it's kind of playing out the same type of way. This is for like a whole new generation of people that are seeing this film, you know? That movie came out in 1982. This movie came out in 1998, almost 1999. And, you know, I think like maybe the adults that are taking their younger people, kids, whatever, to go see this film, might not be familiar with this. They're like, oh, that seems really cool. And they'll be like, oh, it actually reminds me of a scene in The Thing. Have you ever seen that movie? Let me introduce you to that movie as well. I don't think that just because you're honoring something means that you're blatantly copying it. So that's my opinion.
Not at all. Because like there's an episode of Charmed where they do like a prick test, but it doesn't work because the guy's frozen. So I feel like, yeah, sure, things happen that are similar, but I wouldn't consider that copying. Because what is the faculty copying Scream because they shoot Principal Drake in the head, and like that's their whole point in throughout Scream. Like, if you want to know they're dead, you gotta shoot them in the head. So like they're not copying, it's just
right. Exactly.
That's the thing.
And that's how I feel. And, you know, they make references through several conversations with Stokely, talking about how this has been done before in popular novels and films like The Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Puppet Master. But it's you know, there's a really great line in the movie where I think it is Elijah Wood's character Casey, him and Stokely are talking, and they're discussing this. They're discussing those two movies and books, and Casey said that's the thing. He was like, most works of fiction are coming from some sort of truth. And, you know, they hear science fiction and they're focused too much on the fiction part, but what about the science of it all? I think that's great, because I do think that, I mean, I agree. I've always said that too. Like, every piece of art that you see, film, music, physical artwork, writings, whatever, even if we're making up characters and, situations, something is stemming from some sort of truth. So Casey's basically saying, like, what if these novels that these people are writing, what if they did encounter an alien, or what if something similar happened and it was swept under the rug and no one talked about it, and this is their way through art to kind of explain these things. So he thinks, similar to Scream, if anything, I actually think that's an homage to Scream as well, when they're sitting there comparing the books and the movies to what's happening in their real life, with the possibility of aliens invading. That conversation reminds me of the scene in the first Scream when Randy's talking to Billy and Stu in the video store, and also in Scream 2 when Randy's talking to Dewey about the rules of a sequel and, pointing out the suspects and everything. So both of those scenes kind of mirror what's happening in the faculties. Again, I just think it all honors what's around it. So that's my opinion, but I don't know.
I agree with that with the scenes. I will say that I noticed similarities to the sounds of the jump scares and different things. And I was like, I wonder if they use the same person for sound or whatever it's called. And they did with Scream. So I was like, okay, this makes more sense. Because I heard it the first time and I said, that seems familiar. And then I heard it the second time and I was like, that's definitely Scream.
Yep. Yes, so the same composer did the score for The Faculty that did it for Scream. I think the reason this is because Miramax / Dimension Films saw such a huge success with Scream, obviously. I feel like they were just constantly trying to recreate that success and, why change the things that worked the first time around. Yeah, I mean, I definitely pick up on some of that too. Some of the score definitely sounds like it was just... used, and 3/4 of the way through filming Halloween H2O, they actually fired the composer of that film. I'm not quite sure why. I've never really looked into it, but now I want to. They did fire the composer for that film, and they brought in Marco Beltrami. I think I'm saying his name wrong, but it's that same composer. They brought him in to finish the score and kind of rework some stuff, and he actually used some of the sequences that he used in The Faculty. He actually reused it in Halloween H2O.
Oh, that's crazy.
All full circle.
I won't rewatch it to figure it out. I'm so sorry.
It's your assignment. What are you talking about?
I wish I could. I know. I mean, maybe one day, not today.
Maybe one day. Well, while we're talking about Halloween H2O connection really fast, it's funny because Kevin Williamson actually wrote the original spec script for Halloween H2O, but the studio didn't go with his script, which is crazy to me because when you watch Halloween H2O, it really has the Kevin Williamson feel to it.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily the dialogue, but it definitely kind of has that Scream feel. I think you even mentioned that when we talked about the original Halloween film, kind of talking about H2O a little bit, how the vibe kind of felt a little bit more like Scream. Yes. But yeah, Kevin Williamson's actually the one who came up and wrote the original idea for Halloween H2O, and the studio didn't like what he wrote. So they took ideas from it and then incorporated it with another writers. Hollywood's definitely sharing some ideas and shifting people around and taking other people's work at that moment in time for sure.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
it's so crazy how so many of these movies were connected without even realizing it or knowing.
Yeah, when Kevin Williamson wrote the script and created the character of Delilah, he actually wrote the character with Charisma Carpenter in mind, who plays Cordelia on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They offered the role to her, but she turned it down because she felt it was too similar to Cordelia, and she didn't want to play that character in a different type of work.
And not to take away from the actress who plays Delilah, because I really like her. I mean, the only stuff that I've ever seen her in was Fast and Furious, so whenever she popped up, I was like, hey girl, I know you. But that would have been interesting to see it with Charisma Carpenter, because I honestly felt like this role was too mean for her.
Yes.
But Charisma Carpenter played Cordelia fantastically.
She did. I will say, rewatching The Faculty now, I was like, I understand why they made the choices they did, but I'm like, some of these characters and the background actors, the fuck you kids, the boyfriend and girlfriend are constantly fighting and slapping each other and fuck you, fuck you, fuck
Great,
you.
That girl was wailing. So that's Summer Phoenix. She was just beating that man.
She really
y'all
was.
are at school. Like, how are you still there? I'm confused how you're not expelled.
Yeah, let's talk about the aggressive students and faculty members in this film, because there was some wild shit going on. So when we're getting introduced to the characters in the beginning, after the title card, we see a car accident happen, not really related to what's going on, and the one girl gets out of the car and drags the other girl out by her hair from the car because she rear-ended her. She's like, "You stupid bitch!" Like
dragged her through the window. The door opens, then she's like, and then they like throw each other on the hood of the car, and I'm like, what is that?
It's so
this
crazy.
is just the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then we have poor little Elijah Wood getting the shit beat out of him. The bullies are picking him up by his legs and his back and spreading his legs and slamming him repeatedly, right into the crotch, right into the flagpole. Like,
pure insanity. And then threw him on the ground. I was like, oh.
That's some... people are getting arrested over that shit. Like, are you kidding?
Yeah, like, I get it. High school is rough. But if that's happening, for sure, I'm squaring up and I'm getting a teacher.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're not doing this. A flagpole.
Yeah.
Disrespectful.
Disrespectful. Yeah, but just like throughout the film, I think the way the kids talk to each other, Zach and I were, while you were watching it one of the times together, we were laughing at some of the dialogue. When Stokely bumps into Stan. And
they run into each other multiple times.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the one time, she runs into him and she's like, "What? Like, what the fuck?"
Courtyard.
Yeah, and he goes, "You ran into me, beast."
Yes, I noticed that the last time I watched it, because she goes, "Walk much?" He goes, "You ran into me, beast." And I was like, Jesus, beast. Yeah.
The dialogue is just so funny, and also hilarious. Like, again, pretty aggressive. And then there's another scene where they bump into each other. And she goes, "Jesus, you get a seeing eye dog or something?"
Yes. He goes, "Maybe if you didn't paint your eyes shut."
Yeah. Then the back there, you know.
It's the banter. It's the Joey Potter and Pacey Witter of it all.
Oh no, it's actually really, really good relation there, right there. Yeah, some of the dialogue again in here. There's a scene where Stokely says, "Is this usually the point where someone says, 'Let's get the fuck out of here'?" And then Stan, just very nonchalantly but very, very poised, is like, "Let's get the fuck out of here."
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, because why are we standing waiting for something to happen to us? Let's go.
Right? Oh shit. But let me talk about one of my favorite scenes. Speaking of just dialogue only, it's one of my favorite scenes. It's always stuck with me, and I don't know why. I think it's the acting between the two of them. But the scene that I'm talking about is between Zeke and Ms. Burke, when she has finally conformed to being an alien. So now she was a shy, timid teacher prior. He was always kind of flirty with her, and she didn't really know how to handle it. And then, she gets taken over by an alien. So now she's like very confident. She's pretty. She's not wearing her glasses anymore. So in the 90s, that means you are a beautiful model.
Right, you're transformed.
Transformed fully. So, for anyone who hasn't seen this movie, I need to take a minute just to read this dialogue to you, and please watch the scene just for their acting and their. It's
I am
so
obsessed with her. She cracks me up.
So good. So she confronts him in the courtyard to yell at him again about selling illegal things, but now that she's more confident, she's a little bit more headstrong this time around. She approaches Zeke in front of a group of people, and he says, "Not today. It's too damn hot, and I got zero fucking tolerance." She goes, "Eat me, you asshole. I'm the one with no tolerance, you pathetic little runt." And Zeke goes, "What are you going to do? Are you going to call my mother?" And she goes, "And how am I going to do that, little Zeke boy? Do you even know where she is? Europe, Sri Lanka, Japan? I wonder what remote location she went to this week to hide from her great, big bastard mistake. I've taken your shit far too fucking long, you dickless, drug-induced excuse for a human being." Zeke goes, "Whoa, woman, what are you on?" And she goes, "Woman?" And then she pushes him. She goes, "Woman? Did you just say woman? I'm sick of you, little boy. And if I have to see you peddling your little wonder dust again, I'm going to shove my foot so far up your ass, you'll be sucking my toes till graduation."
Graduation. I said, that was the most intense. Whenever she grabs his face, I was like, oh, no.
Like, on page and just like me reading it out loud, like sure you're like, wow, that's some aggressive dialogue from a teacher and a student, but just to see the way that they really play off one another in the film, it's just so good. And that last line she says, I'm gonna shove my foot so far up your ass you'll be sucking my toes till graduation. I was like, who the fuck comes up with that? But also like, I think I've used it once or twice when I was in high school, to be honest.
Yeah, so. I love that. And that actress, I'm obsessed with her. I watched her, obviously, X-Men. I'm a big comic book girly with movies. And she was in Nip Tuck. So, like... She was in Nip Tuck. And she, same vibe. Whenever she did that, I was like, I've seen that before. Yeah. She gets real intense, real fast.
Right? Another scene of dialogue that I really love... it's between Casey and Delilah, and they are snooping the faculty lounge trying to look for a new story. This is before the teachers come in to get Salma Hayek. Casey goes, God, you could be such a... And then Delilah cuts him off and says, what? And he says, pretty cool human being when you're not being a first-class grade A bitch. And then she goes... She looks at him and she goes, are you hitting on me, Casey? He goes, no, I just think that you can be cool sometimes. This not being one of them.
And then he smells her in the closet.
Yep.
The way that he's like, first off, we're trying to survive. Don't sniff me. Yeah. And we're stuck in this closet with these aliens who, okay. I think my biggest problem with this movie, with the aliens, like, what was the purpose of them being there? They couldn't hear the fact that there's two students in the closet. They couldn't smell them. They don't have like superpower thingies. They heard them whenever they made a bunch of noise after the dead body fell on them. And I was like, wow.
Girl, all they wanted was their water. That's all they wanted.
I know. They're just sitting, but that is the epitome of what do they say? Not water jug talk. What's it called? You know, in the office, like whenever you're in the office and it's everybody's drinking water, but it's a certain phrase. I swear, it's a saying.
Water cooler talk?
Yes.
It refers to informal conversation between colleagues that typically occur spontaneously in the workplace. It generally involves casual discussions for non-work topics that employees engage with during free moments throughout their days, which usually congregates around a water fountain.
Yeah, so without talking, they're just chugging water because they don't want to be dehydrated and die.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I didn't really talk about in the breakdown of the film, but once someone has conformed to being an alien, they become extremely thirsty. So we constantly see the students and the faculty, when they start turning into the aliens, they become aggressively thirsty. So you just always see them chugging water. So that's like one of the telltale signs that someone is an alien as well. And that is why Zeke's drug, when he stabs them with the pen, the drug dries them out almost immediately, which obviously kills them.
Like, there has to be salt in that drug or something, because why else is it drying them out? Like, I
don't know.
Caffeine dries them out?
I don't know. Yeah, I love that he uses caffeine pills and
household products.
Household products. What are you putting in there, sir?
No, who? And also, why are we sniffing a bunch of them? Like, whenever they're in the bathroom, which those bathrooms are so disgusting. Couldn't handle it.
The school was kind of gross.
The whole school is disgusting. I'm sorry, hopefully a school does not look like that. Like, if you're in high school and your school looks like that, I'm sorry. Y'all need to call your people and get them to get that fixed, because that's crazy. Disgusting. Like, I wouldn't touch the walls. I wouldn't want to touch anything. Everything looked rusted.
Yeah. It really did. It looked, poor guy. When you see Casey in the bathroom stall bleeding from all the bullies beating him up and stuff. And
you need a tetanus shot just going to school. No, thank you.
Yeah, sir.
But yeah, they're just sniffing all these little pens. Chill.
Yeah. Man, you're starting to sound like that one review where the guy was too worried about the drug use.
I know, but like some of them, because the two boys in the bathroom, they're like, "Do you have any more?" Or no, I guess they weren't in the bathroom anymore. They were outside because they couldn't have been possessed by the aliens. Because why would they want the drugs?
I think so. I've always wondered that too, and I've kind of gone back and forth with it. At first I thought it was because they were like really jonesing for fixes, so they just wanted to buy as much drugs as possible. But I feel like the way that they're acting, I do think that they're aliens, and I think that they know that there's something in that drug that's killing the aliens, so they want to get rid of all the drugs. So that's why Delilah destroys the area in Zeke's garage where he makes the drugs. She destroyed that, and then when they put the rest of the drugs into like a big container, she dumps it all out. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think they didn't really portray it well in that moment to really get that point across, but I do think that's what was trying to be said there. So.
But I'm also surprised that if they were going for the two guys who were obviously like trying to get the drugs in the beginning, but all of the students, whenever they're leaving, where are they leaving? Oh, they're leaving the gym after they kill the principal and walk through like the courtyard. Everybody's staring at them, so clearly they know that they're not possessed, but none of them are like going after them. So I felt like that was not weird, but like, if you're staring at me, you're clearly trying to get me, so why aren't you chasing me?
Yeah, that scene, I'm glad you brought that scene up. So there's a scene when they fully realize like there are definitely aliens going around taking over the school. So as a group of friends, they leave the school together, and they're walking through crowds of people, and everyone's staring at them, and you can actually hear, if you listen really closely, them whispering all of their names. And I always thought it was really creepy. So if you listen to it like really loud or some crazy cool sound system, in different speakers you'll hear like Stokely.
No, I hate that.
Yeah, go back and watch that scene, turn the volume up or whatever you need to do, or listen to it on headphones. And it's so creepy because, I might be wrong, but I listened to it 2 or 3 different times, and I don't think anyone says Mary Beth. I might be wrong. Maybe they do, but I did not catch it any of the times that I tried listening for it.
No, they probably don't, because why would they call her Mary Beth? I mean, she, like, they are her.
Oh. Yeah, they would probably be like, Outer Space Patty.
Outer Space Patty. Ugh. I will say, like, the exchange to get into the host, aka just the normal bodies, disgusting. Nurse, what's her name?
The nurse's name is, played by Salma Hayek, is Nurse Harper.
Nurse Harper. Going through the ear, blood rolls down the eye.
Yep.
Also, okay. See, this is why I think I gave it a 3.5. I have too many questions that I know that I will not be answered. If they die when they get injected by the host, how are they alive whenever the pod dies?
So I don't think they die per se. I feel like I guess we could look at it as like their soul dies. So that the the parasite that has entered the body, basically, I would say absorbs all of like who you are as a person. So like sucks your soul, and you kind of become zombie-like. So then whenever they get killed, that parasite is what's actually dying. So in the beginning, when Mr. 8 got stabbed in the beginning, she must have lived, whatever. That's the only part that I get a little confused on, because she does get stabbed repeatedly with scissors. So I'm not sure about that, but
she also dies in the end in general. So like,
true.
They were probably like, let's just make sure that she dies, so nobody asks about that. But it kind of makes sense whenever the lady in the shower, which that scene.
Help me.
Yeah. So I feel like whenever she's saying "help me," like the parasite was already dying, but so was her body, because she was already too old to handle that, and she didn't drink enough water. Which is silly, because everybody else knew except for her.
Yeah, so basically what we learned from this film is drink lots of water and make homemade drugs.
Yes. Stay hydrated, and if you need to poke some household, not appliances, household cleaner and caffeine into an alien, it'll work.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, do you not know what to do with your household cleaners? Just look no further. Grab some caffeine pills and throw it into a mix.
Yes, and put it in a pen.
Put it in a pen.
You'll never see what's coming.
Oh, great times. I would talk about Stokely for a second, played by Clea Duvall. So Clea Duvall is a phenomenal actress. She is a out and proud lesbian. We love that for her. Congratulations. Yes. But I feel like knowing that about her and looking back at this, I kind of feel bad that she kind of played this part where... Okay, so let's have a conversation about this. Okay, so Kevin Williamson is an openly out gay man. He wrote this film. I think... This is just what I think. There's no proof to this. So, her character, Stokely, pretends to be a lesbian in order to scare people away from wanting to talk to her. And Mary Beth says, I don't think I've ever met a lesbian before. But then she also says, like, be yourself, be out, be proud, whatever. I think the character of Stokely was actually written to be a lesbian, and I feel like Jack Asshole Weinstein brothers were... against bringing that into such a mainstream film, like a movie they wanted to be as successful as Scream. Gay media has always been there, but around this time, it wasn't very prominent at the time yet. People were trying to trickle it in a little bit. You know, Dawson's Creek brought in Jack in the second season, and Will and Grace had just started, so it was trickling in. But it wasn't as embraced, obviously, as it is now. But especially at that time, I feel like it was a lot more taboo, especially with mainstream films. And I don't know, just a part of me feels like she probably was written as a lesbian, and the Weinstein brothers are like, we can't have that, so you have to change a little bit of her character. So they kind of did it that way, because I feel like it's kind of shitty if someone who, you know, at the time was a closeted lesbian, was so gung-ho to play a part like that and not speak up. Maybe she did speak up, but do you understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And it's unfortunate that whenever creatives create and then the people who produce it, they're like, actually, we don't like that. And you're like, I'm sorry. Were you a part of this, right? Because I don't remember that.
Right.
That's unfortunate, but I can also see that at that time, because this was 98. When did Ellen's show come out? Like, the TV show and that whole thing, and then, like, she got wrote off, so I can see her playing it maybe closer to the vest, just to not... I don't know, because, like, it's not even dealing with the backlash, because there shouldn't be a backlash, but... Who knows?
Well, so...
The 90s was weird.
The 90s were a very weird time, and I'm glad that you brought up the Ellen thing, because Ellen's show, her sitcom, she did come out on the show, and that was actually in 97, so it was a year before this, and it obviously had a very negative reaction, unfortunately, and she had a lot of people that did stand up for her, but the show ended up getting canceled, and, you know, people kind of dismissed who she was at that moment in time. Yeah, I mean, I definitely can see that, because I'm assuming this film probably started filming around that time in 97 or maybe very early 98, and they're probably just like, we can't have a loud and proud lesbian character in our film. So I don't know, I just think it's awkward that she is a gay woman playing a straight woman who pretends to be gay to scare people away. So
like,
you know, maybe I'm just looking too much into it.
I actually didn't know that she was a lesbian. So...
Yeah, well... Sorry, Clea Duvall. I outed you. My bad.
But time out. It actually makes more sense, because I was clicking, like, oh, I wonder what she's been in or what she's done. And she did Happiest Seasons. Like, she directed that with Kristen Stewart and Aubrey...
what's his name? Aubrey Plaza, yeah.
Yeah. And Daniel Levy. So I was like, ooh, okay, I like it. I dig it. Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's unfortunate. Hopefully that didn't, like, mentally affect her.
Again, maybe I'm looking too much into it. Maybe she was just like, I don't give a fuck. But there obviously was a lot of shit going on at that time. I mean, there's always shit going on in Hollywood, but I feel like at that time, with the Weinsteins being as, you know, popular as they were then, because so many childhood memories of mine revolve around Miramax, Dimension Films, and, you know, they were a part of all of this. I mean, they were a fraction of Disney, so I mean, their stuff was obviously everywhere. So, sickening. But hey, We're here now.
Every time I see it, whenever it popped up at the end, I was like, oh, God. Hard eye roll.
Yeah. Hard eye roll indeed. Who was your favorite character in the film?
Probably Mary Beth Louise. Just have to say her name.
Did you like her as her little Atlanta self, or do you prefer her as the big queen bee?
I don't know. Like, whenever she turned into the monster and she was walking through the locker room, I was like, I would be terrified of this human being. I'd be like, I thought you were from Atlanta. You seem so nice.
You mean Mary Beth Louise Hutchinson from an outer space galaxy planet thing?
Yeah, that outer space baddie. She's scary.
Yeah, outer space baddie.
But other than that, I feel like I liked Jon Stewart's character. I would have loved him as my science or history teacher. Fantastic. Yeah. Who else? I don't know. Delilah was... her meanness was really just getting me. I'm like, you literally can't... It's too early to be that mean. Like, whenever Stan told her that he wanted to quit, and she was like, I'm so sorry. You can't focus on academics because you're not smart enough to do that. Like, girl, leave him alone. Let him be.
She
did not care.
Yeah, she was the definition of a bitch.
A mean girl.
Sure.
Yeah, she was a mean girl.
Yeah, she did it really well too. But at times I was like, damn, you are so mean, for sure. Yeah.
And like coming out of nowhere, like nobody was talking to you, and all of a sudden you just spit venom. No, thank you. We're done here.
So one of the things I did love about Kevin Williamson's writing, it could be considered annoying, but I think it's kind of cool how it's done. He really plays, like, hams up the stereotypical high school persona. So if you look at if you compare the faculty to the Breakfast Club, we'll say, you'll note that there is a princess, which would be Delilah, a jock, which would be Stan, a brain, which would be Casey, an outcast, that would be Stokely, and a criminal, which would be Zeke. It also hints that the alien could be Mary Beth because she doesn't really fall into any of those types of stereotypes. But I love that they just like ham up those stereotypes and like really play into them, and then kind of flip the script on who ends up with who at the end, and kind of go against the norm. So
yep, because the outsider ends up with the jock, and then which I didn't actually realize Delilah was the head of the paper, but I guess I did because she was talking to that girl about what they should put out, and she goes, put it all out, he's an asshole. And I was like, more power to you. Like, put that focus towards the boys that we don't like, not the girls who are minding their own damn business.
Yep. Yeah, the paper, the school newspaper, they talk about how she used to expose Mr. Tate, the history teacher, for his alcoholism, but no one cared when they read the article, but his wife did, and then ran off with the babysitter. Yeah,
like, how is that relevant?
What kind of school newspaper? You're outing your teacher for being an alcoholic in the school newspaper? Like, damn, girl, she's like Gail Weathers in school.
Yes, I don't remember what she did, but I was like, Gail, is that you? I did enjoy at the end, right? At the end, whenever all the news people come and then they like pan out how they do a scream. I was like, I see that. I see you.
We briefly mentioned the soundtrack. I will say that I used to play this soundtrack all the time. It's kind of a rock heavy soundtrack, especially for the time. But I do feel like that sound was really popular then. They do
that grunge another punk life. Hell yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. They do another Brick in the Wall Part 2. It's kind of like a remix. Do kind of like a remix of it, and they made a music video, and they had the cast in it. Apparently the cast got along so well. Yeah, apparently the cast got along really well. They did the music video for it, and they also had, for an entire season or two, they had Tommy Hilfiger. They were the faces of Tommy Hilfiger too, like the whole main cast.
I vaguely remember that, to be quite honest, because I would always see it, and I think that's why I would want to watch it, and then it would come on, and I'm like, no, I don't actually want to watch that.
Nope. This looks cute. Nope.
Yeah, no, but I do remember that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so I think it's cool they're in the music video too, and keeping in character. Clea Duvall does not lip sync like the rest of the cast does because she's too cool and goth to participate in singing in a music video. So
I can't wait to watch it after this.
Yeah, please do.
Absolutely will.
But there is a song on the soundtrack. It plays at the very end when right before the credits roll. It was my favorite on the soundtrack. The group's name is Nev, I think, or Neve. It's spelled like Nev Campbell, so I just say Nev. But the song's called "It's Over Now." I really love that song, and every time I watch The Faculty, when it comes to that song, I'm always like singing along with it, pretend like I know how to sing, and yeah, it's really good.
I love how you're about to do it, and you're like,
I stopped. I had to save my singing for me and Lauren's musical episode.
I love it. I can't wait.
Shout out Lauren Drake. What up?
Hell yeah, what up, girl?
Cool. Well, honestly, kind of wrap this up a little bit. Is there anything else you want to talk about the Faculty? What you loved, what you hated? Anything we forgot to talk about, touch on?
So there is one thing that I've noticed, and I don't really know how to describe it, but I've noticed that in films and TV shows, there is always like a specific line that somebody says for this, or not somebody, more than one person will say. For this one, it was, I've always wanted to do that. So whenever the coach stabs the principal in the hand with the pencil, he was like, I always wanted to do that. And then the drama teacher stabs her with she just really got a bad rap from inside and outside. Stabs her with the scissors. She goes, I've always wanted to do that. And I always wonder, I don't know what question I'm getting to, but I've always wondered why film or TV shows do that. One Tree Hill was like, Lost was Don't Tell Me What I Can't Do. So
I mean,
have you ever noticed that in, I guess, TV shows and films that you've ever watched, whenever certain characters or multiple characters will say a line, you're like, what does that even mean? Or is that just a throwaway and we're just saying it just because?
I feel, I mean, honestly, that's a good question. I do know what you're talking about. I've definitely noticed that in different films and TVs. Speaking specifically of The Faculty, yes, I've always wanted to do that. Like I said, at least 3 times in the film that I know of off the top of my head. That is a really good question. I mean, you could just say it's a throwaway to just like pass on it, but at the same exact time, I do feel like there's probably something behind it. So, any listeners, anyone listening to this has any idea or insight on what it could all mean, definitely let us know.
Would love to know.
Yeah, drop me or Brittany a line on our socials, and let us know. Definitely want to look into it because now I'm curious. Again, if anyone else has insights, let us know.
Let us know.
If we figure it out, we'll definitely share it with you guys because I'm sure you guys are on the edge of your seats trying to figure it out too.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, that's a good question. I never really thought about it, but yeah, it does happen quite a bit in different forms of media, so interesting.
Yeah. I've always wondered. Once I noticed it, I was like, this happens far too often to not be a coincidence.
Yeah, you guys have wanted to do a lot of things, and you never have until this moment. We're so happy for you.
Right? But yeah, no, I think that's... I feel like we talked about everything else. One line that Casey says to... And one scene that creeped me out. So, the scene with Casey after Mom and Dad pick him up, they go back to his room. Dad's freaking out, ripping his room apart, which so unhinged, sir. Ripped apart a full book. Wow. He goes, that's the government's. And he goes, damn it. Hilarious. But
oh my God.
Whenever he's sneaking out of the house, the 3 teachers are just standing there. And he still continues to fall off of the roof. I would have been like, I'm going back inside. That's so crazy. Can't go out there. No. And then, he falls and his dad is like, get back in that house, as he's holding his porno magazines. And he goes, Dad, they're here, the Faculty. And I said, they got the title in the film.
They got the title. There it is. It is The Faculty, guys. In case you forgot what you were watching.
Right? Yeah, midway through the film. Yeah, all three of them just staring out the window. No.
Yeah. That was that scene was very heavy promo for the marketing of the film.
Was it?
Just the teachers, what's scarier as a student in school to look out your window and see your three teachers staring up at you?
Waiting to see.
Did you do your homework? Yes, I feel like that was pretty. Yeah, that was definitely very promo heavy for the film. So that scene definitely a little creepy. And like you said, it's also funny too because the dad, when he gets them, he has the porno mags that he grabbed from Casey's room, and I think the one magazine's literally called Porno.
Yes. I think it was the top red one or something.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
he's funny. He plays a good, scary, mean dad. I've seen a couple of films that he's done that, and he's good.
Yep. Yeah, he's Christopher McDonald. If you guys didn't remember who Casey's dad was, the coach actually does the finger guns at him.
Yeah,
just like Shooter McGavin and Happy Gilmore. So kind of does it at him like that. So
I've never seen that movie. I don't really like it. I'm sorry.
Oh boy, it's okay. That's okay. So you're not gonna watch Happy Gilmore 2?
Oh, they're making a second one?
Yeah, I think they're almost done with it, or they're definitely deep into filming it. So
interesting. I mean, maybe because I like Adam Sandler now. I've liked him for a while. Just there's some early 90s, early 2000s movies that just weren't it for me.
I get it.
That one in Waterboy, people get real pissed.
Well, it's funny when I was teasing the episode that we were going to do, I put a picture of the opening scene of the faculty. Yeah, 3 people were like, Waterboy! And I was like, no.
You're like, no, not that one.
I'm not going to do an episode on Waterboy.
Yeah. But also, why did that man flip that?
So
you
angry.
were so upset during practice.
I think I'm just being silly, but it was kind of fuck water, and then he turns into the alien and he's like, yes, water.
Yes, but I actually feel like they did that because he was kicking that water sprinkler or whatever, and then you see the scene with him in the field just eating it up whenever Casey, which also that scene, hard eye roll. So he has his camera looking at Coach in the field, and then Mrs. Olsen, yeah. Yeah, she's trying to get his attention. Says his name 3 times. He couldn't multitask and be like, yeah, I get it. I got you. Because if I were her, I'd have been like, what you looking at? What's out there?
She's like,
oh, are you looking at you're looking at my counterpart? Don't worry about him.
Right? Yeah, she's like, Casey.
And
then the camera goes. Yeah, the camera does this triple zoom in, and yes, I'm acting it out right now for Brittany, she doesn't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, the camera just literally goes.
Yeah, and I was
right up to her face.
Too much. Which I wonder why they. I wonder why they chose that to emphasize she might know that he's onto something. I don't think she actually cares.
Girl, that was the 90s way of being remember, this is a bad girl.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
It's the outside space baddie.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes. Okay. Well, hey, you know what? That is The Faculty, 1998's sci-fi teen horror film. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Brittany, you started the episode off with 3.5 out of 10. Did we change? Did we go higher? Did we go lower? I mean, Lauren went backwards for Scream 2, so
I was like, ooh, she's getting.
Where are we going, Brittany? Are we going forward or backwards, or remaining the same?
I think we're still remaining the same because there's too many things that happen that I'm just I can't necessarily get past it.
Gotcha. No, that's
fine. But
again,
I still enjoyed the movie for what it was for the watch.
Gotcha. That's fair. And that's why it's fun doing this podcast, just to have kind of talk all this stuff out and see different points of view. I mean, maybe my 8 out of 10 has a lot to do with nostalgia, which happens a lot.
Which is fair.
Skews our vision sometimes. Yeah, that is The Faculty. If you guys haven't seen it yet, please go check it out. Let me know who you side with. Are you more of a Brittany? Are you more of a Dave? Did you watch it once and side with me? Watch it twice and then side with Brittany? Let me know. I'd love to know. I'd like to hear what people think. I like to hear your reactions.
Yeah.
So that is the faculty. I'll leave you with, please check out the rest of my movie catalog. We have all of season 1, which consisted of 24 episodes, and I covered 22 movies in that season. So far, this is our 3rd episode of season 2. Brittany and Lauren are my constant returning guests. I do have some special people coming up for the new season. Some people I've never worked with before. Definitely some fun things to look forward to. And if you have the opportunity, check out the You Run Podcast Network that I am a part of. You can simply go to yourunpodcast.com, check out the rest of my show and all the other fun shows that are on there, and drop us some likes, some 5 stars, share us, talk about us, make us quasi-popular. We like doing this for
all
sure.
The things. We love
all
it.
of the things. Give me a follow on Instagram at the Reaction Shot Podcast and give my posts some likes. Feel free to interact, drop me a message when needed, and that's all I have to say. That's my long-winded ending. So I appreciate you, Brittany. Listeners, I appreciate the listeners. And I hope you have a great night, day, weekend, whatever hell time it is that you're listening to this podcast. So Brittany, thanks again. Listeners, I'll see you next time. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.